You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
And we're live. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk this morning on CKLU 96.7 FM, CKLU.ca, streaming. Click on the Radio Player Canada app on the website and you can stream us. Also, you can download the Radio Player Canada app and take us with you and listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. Glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us. It's going to be a great day this February the 14th, 2023. Valentine's Day. So hopefully you have something planned for somebody special in your life today to make their day a little more special in celebration of Valentine's Day. Again, it's we'll have a great show. That's all we can do to ensure that we're doing our best for our listeners and viewers for Valentine's Day. I didn't wear red or anything, so I'm not like looking like I'm in the spirit of it or I'm doing anything like that. But anyways, hopefully we can have some type of theme throughout the show and integrate Valentine's Day somehow for everyone. But yeah, thanks for being with us. We're also, as I mentioned, live streaming on Facebook Live, facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. We were not on yesterday. We had a family emergency and we're not able to have the show yesterday, but thanks for being with us today. It's going to be, like I said, a great show. And Nick Gervais should be joining us momentarily. And as usual, all of your comments are encouraged and we invite you to share your points of view on the stories that we're talking about, because this is your show on your station, CKLU 96.7. We'll be joined tomorrow on the show with Billy. Usually he's on today and Thursdays, Tuesdays and Thursdays, but will not be with us. But we didn't have a show yesterday, and so he's not with us today, but he will be tomorrow. So looking forward to that as well. And thanks for the YouTube and Facebook moderators and all that they do. Thanks for taking the time to make sure that everything that we're doing is in line with community standards, and that's what we want to do. Also on the radio, CRTC standards are adhered to. And with that, the comments expressed on Sudbury News Talk are those solely of myself and the co-hosts and guests we have on the show, and in no wise or in no way reflect that of Laurentian University or those of CKLU as a radio station. So with that, let's get started with Cliff. Good morning. Thanks for being with us today. Going to be a great day, great conversation. Lots of really great news to talk about. And we'll try and dig a little bit today, including the story of the unidentified flying object that was shot down just south of Manitoulin Island. So it's getting a little closer for us, right? So we want to make sure that we dig into that a little bit. So right after the weather, sports, will be joined by Nick. We'll be back right after this. Sudbury weather brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. It's currently -7 degrees, feels like -13. It is. I was scraping my car this morning, the frost on the windshield, and I felt I could have even had frostbite. It was very nippy. But today, it's mainly cloudy. Fog patches dissipating this morning, very foggy on the drive to work all along the North Shore. Extremely foggy, actually. If you are driving and traveling between, let's say, Sudbury and Espanola, let's say, take precaution because it is very, very foggy. The wind, 30 kilometers, gusting to 50 near noon. High of +3 today. Wind chill, minus 14, this morning. And tonight, increasing cloudiness, 40% chance of showers overnight. Wind becoming south, 20 kilometers, gusting to 40 overnight. The low will be +1 overnight. That's how mild it is. Overnight on February the 14th and 15th, it'll be +1 overnight and rain. And then continuing Wednesday, periods of rain with periods of snow in the morning and with periods of drizzle late in the morning and in the afternoon. High of +6 tomorrow. But then looking at the long range, I think later in the evening on Wednesday, it's expected to dip down and then into Thursday, high of -9. And with the wind chill, I think it's going to be in the double digits, the minus double digits. So getting colder. And then also into Friday, periods of snow, 40% chance of flurries, high of -10, also cold. And then it starts getting mild again. Saturday, chance of flurries, 40%, -3. And then 40% chance of flurries on Sunday, 0. So again, very mild. And then Monday, as if we can predict weather that far. But anyway, 60% chance of flurries, high of -3 predicted. Look at your satellite if you are with us on YouTube or Facebook. But just let everyone know there is a clearing patch coming over us that we will experience today. Mostly clear, sunny skies, possibly mix of sun and cloud at the worst. But you can expect a warm, sunny day. If you can, get out and enjoy it. If not, just enjoy it through your office window. And we'll be back right after this with sports. This is your Sudbury weather brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. Be back with a little bit of sports right after this. The Sudbury Wolves were in action over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Wow, it was very busy for them. And fortunately on Friday, so this is their game just recently, the page isn't loading fast enough in order to get the original game. On Friday, we won 3-2. So that was... 3-2. It was a close game, but we beat the Sarnia Sting at the Sudbury Arena. Was there for that game, and it was phenomenal. Unfortunately, the next game, however, we lost in a shootout. Overtime, didn't solve anything. Shootout to Mississauga Steelheads, 6-5. Was our loss there. And then we played again Sunday, and unfortunately we lost that game 8-5. That was on the Saturday's game we were up 3-0, and then we ended up, losing the lead, and then ultimately the game in the shootout. And then yesterday was Sunday was just a weird game. A lot of back and forth and a lot of weirdness. And anyways, we ended up losing that game. So we currently, it's a neck and neck race to the finish against a very important game it was on Sunday, Oshawa Generals. So now, they were trailing us a bit. Now we're neck and neck with them for the last final playoff spot. So it's not a given that we're going to be making the playoffs. If anything, it's going to be a fight and a struggle. So we'll see if the Sudbury Wolves got the gas in their tank in order to get it done. Speaking of gas in the tank, the 5 were able to really put their pedal to the metal against the Rogue on Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, here in town, and they beat them 113-105. The Five improved their record to 5-3 on the season, which is good for second place in the National Basketball League of Canada. The team now heads down east for 3 games against the Newfoundland Rogue, the team that they beat here on Sunday. They are in action tomorrow on the 17th and the 18th before they return home on February 20th against the Kitchener-Waterloo Titans. Now, this is the thing. This is like a playoff series against the Newfoundland Rogues. I expect it to be rather chippy basketball with them. That's what happens in any sport like hockey or basketball. When you're facing the same team night after night, people start to get in each other's faces and then things escalate. So expect things to get a bit chippy, but hopefully the Sudbury Five will be able to pull it off on the road. So far, their home record is stellar, but their on the road record is not so good. So let's see if they can change that around. And speaking of change, they just signed a shooting guard, Curtis Hollis, for the remainder of the season. He's 24 years old, played professional basketball Santa Cruz Warriors in the NBA G League during the 2019-20 season. Played for a bunch of other teams as well. Head coach and general manager Logan Stutz says Curtis is a player we need right now. Curtis can play many positions and is an exciting player. The fans will love his style and energy, and I'm excited to get him in front of the crowd. So Hollis is expected to join the team this Wednesday, tomorrow, in Newfoundland to replace a very good player, Jalen Bland, who has gone off to join a team in, where is it? Iraq. Professional basketball in Iraq. And he's helping them with their playoff run, and then he's expected, once that's done, I guess their season ends at a different time than ours, he's expected to be back in the spring for our playoff run as well. So he'll be back. So there you go. So next home game for the Five is in town against the Kansas City, the Kitchener-Waterloo Titans on the 20th. Starts at 2:30 p.m. Fans are encouraged to get the family together and come out and cheer on the Five. A special Family Day pack is available for only $50 at the Sudbury Arena box office for 2 adults and 2 students. Fans can watch the Five game on the road by tuning into NBLC.TV. We'll be back with more, including a Nick and headlines right after this. Sudbury Sports, brought to you by that Sudbury Sports Guys website, sudburysports.com. That's Randy Pascal and sudburysports.com. We'll be back right after this. Okay, and Nick is with us. Good morning, Nick. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Aaron. It's Valentine's Day. Do you feel the love?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do.
Well, I'm a girl, so I like Valentine's Day, and I'm wearing this shirt that I bought like 5 years ago. Okay, 3 years ago. There's these little hearts, and I finally get to wear it, so I'm really excited.
Yeah, I was just talking that I'm not wearing anything that signifies Valentine's Day. However, you're bringing some Valentines to the show, which is great. So that's what I promised at the beginning. I said we'd try and do our best to bring a little bit of flavor of Valentine's Day into the show. And David, good morning. Yes, stay safe this Valentine's Day. Good morning, Judy. Thanks for being with us. Much appreciated, along with Denise as well.
Yes, it's nice to see the same people,
For sure,
on the show. It's so cool to see you guys on the show.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of people on the show every morning, Diane, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Diane.
So yeah, it's going to be a great show, obviously. It's a Valentine's show. There's lots to talk about. There's lots of headlines. If you ever want to know what we're talking about, all you have to do is follow our Facebook news feed or our page. Just go on and The stories we're sharing are the stories we're expecting to talk about on the show. And with that, I think right at the top, gas prices are down in Sudbury. Went down 6 cents over the weekend for some reason.
But they were like lower a month ago. So it's funny how it's like gas prices are low, but they're still $1.43, guys.
You know, that's the headline, right? Gas prices are down, but yeah, they're up compared to, you know, even years ago.
Gas is just up. Like my neighbors were talking how their gas bill went up $150 last month, and they're like, "Nick, it wasn't even that cold."
Yeah,
this bill's gonna be higher because we had a week of -40.
Exactly. Just energy costs in general, not just gasoline, the gas stations, but propane, natural gas, you name it. It's all up. Costco right now is sitting at $139.9.
Okay.
For anyone who has a membership, this is according to gasbuddy.ca. If you ever want to check the gas prices, you just go on there and you gasbuddy.ca /Sudbury. So the next nearest gas station in price is on LaSalle, Mobile, 142.2, and then Pioneer 142.3. So it looks like a few of them are coming in at 142. So all you have to do is go to Gas Buddy to check out all the latest in terms of gas prices.
All right.
We talked about Sudbury 5 already.
Lucky I came back from Montreal. I went to Montreal over the weekend for a Sensi convention. It was all in French. And it's funny because my girlfriend said when she picked me up on Friday, she's like, "Hey, Nick, you kind of lost your French." And then on Sunday, she's like, "Wow, you really picked it up. It's awesome how quick you can pick things up." Anyway, I drove through North Bay and I filled up my tank on the reserve.
How much was it there? Do you remember per
I
liter?
think it was a 136.
Oh, well, there you got a deal for sure. Definitely. Yeah. Cheaper than Costco.
Yeah.
Now, starting off, it's a meaty one, a meaty headline.
Ooh,
here.
I like it.
The challenges of helping get homeless people off the street. We talk a lot about that on this show. It seems to be something we're going to be talking about in the future as well. Doesn't look like it's going away anytime soon, unfortunately. The city of Greater Sudbury has made great strides to manage the homelessness crisis that came to light during COVID-19 pandemic, but the system that tracks local people who seek homelessness services highlights the complexity of the issue. So yeah, there's new technology that we're hoping to adopt. The city of Greater Sudbury has made a concerted effort to tackle the local homelessness crisis, but the fact that some people seeking housing end up back on the streets illustrates the challenges and complexities of the issue.
Okay. I'm sorry. My dad was calling me from Costa Rica.
Oh.
And did you say, and I was like, "Dad, I'm on the show. I can't talk." And then, what did you say about technology?
Yeah, they're trying to use, there's different, they're trying to get people into the system, like a database to track. They're trying to track the people that are experiencing homelessness. So that way, well, they're trying to track everyone, period. But I guess just in particular, for this particular group of people to follow them. It's like you put a tag on a shark or something, and then you find out where they're going and stuff. So they want to track to see how good services are. And I can't blame them for wanting to do it this way because we do have the technology to do this and we're always wondering about things. So if you actually do follow a person to see if they're getting the services they need or not, I don't necessarily think that is a bad thing. I think it can be used for nefarious purposes, but I also think it can be used for good as well.
Yes.
Let's see. Cliff's saying local stations aren't scared of Costco anymore, so it's safe to jack prices back up. Yeah, exactly. Well, in Costco, I found too, it was only like 3 cents cheaper than the other one. Like it's not. I thought it'd be like 6 cents at least. I was told, not like the movie 6 cents, but 6 cents. So yeah, good morning, Lynn. Thanks for being with us, and good morning, Jennifer, as well. So we're speaking about homelessness and are trying to be able to
And-
combat it here in the city.
And surprise, surprise, they tried to create a system and the system's just not really working.
Well, they haven't really got it off the ground yet, to their credit, or I guess just for argument's
Just
sake.
give them yeah.
Ray Landry, coordinator of housing services of the Homeless Network, told Sudbury.com that this cycle of housing back to homelessness, so they get people housing, then they go back to homelessness,
I wonder why.
has much to do with the challenges of transitioning someone away from the life skills one must acquire to survive homelessness to the very different life skills one requires to be housed.
Oh
Now,
my goodness.
You and I, had a really great conversation with Dario Zulich just a few days ago, and this was something that I think
We talked about.
but we also he is doing things and he has plans to be able to combat this very thing. And we were looking at a lot of the challenges with this particular thing of when you are in housing, when you've been so used to being homeless, that you can't just put someone in a house and expect everything to be fine. There's, like you said, there's different life skills. There's a whole different way to.
No, and he even mentioned how he got a big grant to help him build this housing unit. And I said, okay,
Yeah.
great. Grab a couple $1 million
Yeah.
and create a retreat, create a facility to help their mental health and figure out hey, dude, what are your life skills? What are your gifts in life? And let's, who are you? Who do you want to be? And let's work on that. And let's let go of this trauma that obviously you've gone through. And he's like, oh, I can't do that because the money has
It's
to go
not set
directly.
for that. Yeah, it has certain
Exactly.
things that he has to, targets and things that are meant for the money is given with strings attached, let's say, kind of thing.
Yes.
So, good morning, Bob in Costa Rica. Thanks for joining us.
He just won $450 at the Super Bowl. My cousin did this little thing, and he's like, "That's what he wanted to call me," and he was so excited to talk to me about that. He won $400 and $450, and my dad's probably the luckiest man alive. He should probably be dead, but he's not.
True. So he must have bet on the Kansas City Chiefs.
I think you bet on players. It was like this
okay.
graph, and then you bet on numbers. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, there's different things throughout the game. You can bet on anything in sports, like if someone's going to shave or not when they come on the ice or come on the field.
Yeah. I'm not
I win.
interested in this whole entertainment world that I think is 100% corrupt. And I know that really upsets people, and there's like a lot of child trafficking that happens during a Super Bowl. So I don't really want to support this industry. And a lot of people don't know that, but that's what's happening behind the scenes.
Perfect. This article also goes on to say when someone who is homeless or in a precarious unstable housing position would like to find a place, their name is added to the coordinated access list. That's what we were talking about, this list, or by name list, maintained by the Greater City of Sudbury. As of January 31st, that list has a total of 177 names on it. It's the waiting list for housing. There are 10 living in an encampment, an area with a structure that the resident returns to regularly, and 62 unsheltered, meaning they are not or do not wish to stay at the shelter. But 37 of those previously housed have returned to the by name list. The reasons these people are losing their housing can include behavioral adaptations.
Yep.
And also those who are housed can be intimidated into letting others into their own.
What do you expect?
Yeah, I know.
What do you expect? You're going to grab a solo individual who has been hanging out with a group of people, and you're going to tell them, don't help your friends.
Yeah. When they're used to living in communities, right? Usually, because that's the way, it's a safety thing. So so if you're on the streets and you're homeless,
more people I can help, if they have drugs, I'll get my hands on the drugs. I'll probably get free drugs now because this is my place.
Possibly,
so if you want to stay at my place, you're going to share your drugs. I'm not saying they're all drug users, but most of them are. Because I did meet a lot that aren't. When
For
I was
sure.
working
Definitely.
with them, there's a lot of them that aren't, but they have mental health issues or they're
For sure.
alcoholics or
Yeah.
they just choose to live on the street.
Coping in whatever ways they can and by whatever means. Not always addicts, for sure. Now, this is the thing. We were looking at this. It seems to be coming to a neighborhood near us. Northern MPs not happy with redrawn federal electoral boundaries. So Northern Ontario would lose at least one seat. Sudbury's 2 ridings would also change drastically with the new boundaries of representation for Northern Ontario federally. A revised plan for a riding overhaul in Ontario addresses some northern concerns, but still leaves the region with one fewer seat in Ottawa. So I don't know how that helps anything. If you have less representation, the Federal Electoral Boundaries Commission for Ontario has submitted its final report, which calls for a major redrawing of the electoral map. Sudbury, Algoma, Kapuskasing is slated to basically evaporate, with its southeastern portion joining a bigger nickel belt riding renamed Manitoulin Nickel Belt. The Sudbury riding would also grow, absorbing Coniston, Wanapate, Wanap, Garson, Falconbridge, and Skeed. If approved, the House of Commons, if approved by the House of Commons, the changes could come into effect prior to the next federal election. Although Northern MPs are planning to use a 30-day review period to venerably restate their objections to the scheme. So, and Representative Carol Hughes says the proposal means fewer MPs represent larger ridings, fewer constituency offices that act as the access point for federal services, which is true, and less funding for important programs like Canada Summer Jobs across the north, among other things. I'm not in favor of that myself.
Of less
representation, larger geographical areas. We're very unique in the north. What someone's experiencing in even Wanapate is different than what someone experiences in Sudbury, let alone somebody in Gogama or somebody in the far north. You know, it's just very different needs in different areas. And sure, we're not represented by population, but we definitely are sparse in our geography and our needs. So Cliff is saying maybe Northern Ontario ridings should be cut in half at least. Possibly.
Why?
One way to look at it. I don't know. It's again, this is open to, and again, who's really all that in tune with politics and what it means and all the complexities of politics. And like this MP was saying, there'll be less money for summer jobs. Well, how do we know that? We didn't know that that would be one of the things that would, because there's less constituency offices, because there's less riding. So it means one less office for people to go to access federal government services. Because, you know, if you have a beef with someone, you can go to your local MP's office, or if you can't get a form filled out and you don't know how to do it for a federal thing, you can go to your local MP's office and they help you with these things.
Yeah.
So it's going to mean one less office in Northern Ontario for people to access those services. Good morning, Monique. Thanks for being with us today.
We don't need lack of services. We need more services
That's
in
the thing.
literally every single area of our life. I just don't understand. It just doesn't make sense. The corruption is real because when I was working and selling for valet, for example, I just saw the corruption within the people and how much they take advantage of the company. And I'm like, oh, this is happening on every single level. And this is happening on a government level. We have way more population. People are making more money. There should be more money happening. There should be more services for us. Things should be less expensive, but it's getting more expensive. People aren't managing their money. And again, they're just removing this because they're saying everything's costing a lot of money. But how come this is just a constant theme? Like nobody's paying attention to money and they're not even budgeting properly. Like, how are you off $2 million on a budget? It just, it makes zero sense. It's like they're doing on purpose.
trillions of dollars. Like we didn't get a chance to cover it, but the government's not being accountable for all the misspending of the COVID dollars. There's billions
Yeah.
and billions. I think it was 14 billion or something like that. It was multi-billion dollars of money that was unaccounted for, that they're not being accountable for. And a lot of people suspect that it went to their friends' companies and their friends' initiatives and things like that during COVID. And now they don't
The
want
bank.
that to
The
come to
bank got a
light.
bunch of funding. Why is
Well,
the bank getting a bunch of funding?
They need it. Banks struggle for money.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
You know what? I was always thinking banks, they need to have those boxes on the counters to donate to them, because they seem like they really need more money. Donate to your bank today. They've only made, their record profits are going down in terms of the percentage of the record profits from last year. They only beat the record by a few percentage points instead of double digit percentage points, So they really do need the money. They should get those donation boxes on the counters.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We should suggest that.
Now, Erica has a really good point she's making here. Does Toronto need another riding or something? If anything, we need more up here. And the reason why I say she makes a good point is what happens is when you kind of need representation of your people, if they have, so everyone needs a good representation. But what happens in Toronto is most people's needs are the same. Sure, you have more people living in a closer area, but all their needs are exactly the same because their lives are exactly the same. So they need the same representation. You could represent 1 or 1 million people and they're all the same needs. Whereas on Northern Ontario, 10 people have 10 different needs. So you can't represent their needs. So they're trying to make the argument that the population of Southern Ontario is so much more, they need that extra representation.
Right.
However, it really does favor one side of government because more people in more urban centers do vote a more particular way. And so that you have to look at, is that political as well? So you never know.
They're using online services instead of showing up, where up north they bring in their ticket and do it in person.
There's just a different culture, different, and I'm not saying one party in particular because a lot of people, Timmins and Sudbury, historically vote NDP and then Liberal. They go back and forth, NDP Liberal, NDP Liberal. Urban centers mainly vote Liberal, mainly. It just is what it is. Good morning, Jennifer. Cliff says the GTA has so many seats, they have the power to dictate federal election. Yeah, exactly. Just about on their own, 100%. And as you saw, the mayor of Toronto just recently, scandal, right? He was having an affair with one of his staffers, and so he had to step down as mayor of Toronto. So scandal there. So yeah, I don't know why I said that. It just happens to do with the GTA and something we didn't cover on the show yet. Now, I was wondering, Nick, if you get a chance to, if you're talking to Natalie at any particular point, Natalie Labby, she was gonna come on and speak to this issue we're going to be talking about now. It's the fire hall issue, the emergency services, the amalgamation, trying to make sure that we're cost effective and delivering the proper services in the city.
Yeah.
So here's a story from Sudbury Star. Skeed residents petition city to keep their fire hall open. So 400 plus residents signed the petition and asked the city to reconsider shutting their fire hall down in Skeed. So it'd be really great if Natalie, as she said, she would come on. I haven't seen her comment since that time though, so I wasn't sure if that's possible. But anyways, are you able to reach out to her and just say, perfect? I knew you would be able to do that in real time.
Yep.
It'd be really great to hear from the horse's mouth, hear what the city is doing and why. Sudbury woman killed her boyfriend, left him in the apartment for days. This is SudburyStar.com as well. I think this was from a couple of years ago. There was no attempt to resuscitate the victim after he was stabbed and left to die and waste away in his apartment, the Crown says. So the Crown is representing the victim A toxic relationship fueled by alcohol and involving violence was at the root cause of a fatal stabbing on Melvin Avenue of a man in Sudbury more than 3 years ago. Mr. Carl Blais is dead, and you are responsible for causing his death, and I hope you appreciate that. Senior Justice Court Kathleen Cullen told Cairo Chilton. Hope I pronounced that name. Cairo Chilton. She's 36. Since Chilton had been in custody since her arrest November 18th, 2019, she received pretrial custody credit of 1,768 days. That leaves her with 57 days left to serve. Cullen also issued a 30-month probation order, a DNA order, and a lifetime weapons ban. Conditions of the probation order include Chilton is not able to be outside her home with alcohol in her system. She's not to possess knives unless in preparation and consumption of a meal. Have no contact with 2 witnesses in the case and stay out of establishments that primarily sell alcohol. So a lot of people were chiming in on this on social media saying, well, in domestic violence, domestic situations where there is violence and people feel threatened, was it self-defense? Was it, do we really understand? It's not cut and dry. She didn't just wake up one morning and kill her spouse or her partner. Yeah, for sure. So anyways, that's what social media is talking about these days. That, there's people who say she should be given a tougher sentence. And there's people that say, you know what? It was basically, what could she do to protect herself?
When it's self-defense, it shouldn't be a murder case.
And maybe not even self-defense in this case. Like, she probably used excessive force, but if there's abuse going on.
But was there like calls beforehand?
Yeah,
was
exactly.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Because I know a few cases that have happened where it was total self-defense and she's now in prison. Like the girl killed her pimp.
Yeah.
Like, well, pimps, if you are a pimp, people may kill you and it's okay. Yeah,
exactly. So again, this is pretty complicated. For more, just go to sudburystar.com and read more about that story. If it's interesting to you or if it interests you. Erica is chiming in on the last discussion about insurance rates for the rural or farms are insane now as it is. Let's take away volunteer firefighters. There you go. Yeah, well, we pay a lot of taxes, right? Stuff. So, and insurance. Oh, yeah, the insurance. So if you're so far away from a fire hall, your insurance rates go up. So there's a lot of farms, I guess, that would be affected in that area. That's a very rural area, and I'm sure a lot of people will be affected with their insurance rates going up for sure. Terrible.
Terrible.
In this case of a spousal abuse, where the law wouldn't help her? Is this a case of spousal abuse where the law wouldn't help her? Exactly. You see that on these crime shows. I watch a lot of crime shows. They call the police a million times and they always say, well, unless something happens, we really can't do anything about it until it happens.
Right.
But then it's too late, right?
Okay, this next article.
Yep. You like that one? That's a bit of a deep dive.
But it's also happening locally because it's happening here in Sudbury.
Most Canadians don't support the latest planned MAID expansion, survey finds.
That's great to hear, Canadians. I'm so proud of you.
A recent survey suggests the majority of Canadians do not support the latest expansion that has been planned for medical assistance in dying in Canada, one of which would open it up as an option for those with mental illness as a sole condition. While 6 out of 10 Canadians support MAID in its current form, which I was surprised at, and I do know that's probably accurate for people that I talk to right away. They're like, yeah, but people are suffering. They need it. So a lot of people I talk to are in favor of it, even though it already has shown signs of being abused in many cases. So 6 out of 10 Canadians support it in its current form, which allows those with a grievous and irremediable, irredeemable medical condition to apply for it. Only 3 in 10 Canadians support the idea of allowing patients to seek MAID purely based on mental illness. I'm surprised that number is even that high,
I know.
according to a new report by the Angus Reid Institute.
I don't really trust any of these reports.
True.
Anyway, like how many did you talk to, and did you talk to people in a certain area? Like, it's just
they're supposed to follow. They're supposed to follow, the like what you're talking about, the ethical standards of doing surveys and things. So the report comes after a week the Trudeau government introduced legislation to delay the expansion of MAID by a year, saying more time was needed to get it right. Thank you. To be honest, we could have gone forward with the original date. Justice Minister David Lametti said at a news conference last week, but we want to be sure, we want to be safe. We want everybody to be on the same page. Now, this is coming in the wake of their holding back on the banning of certain guns and things too recently, with the last minute additions to the bill they were putting forward to help keep us safe in terms of handguns. But they slipped in like a bunch of long guns into that list. And then they had to back off because the public outcry was too much. This reminds me of that again. Now, what does that say about our government if there's outcries of these? They're trying to pass laws that people are totally against, and the majority of, and they just say, no, we'll just hold off a little longer. We'll just hold off a little longer until maybe we're able to convince people of why, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe a propaganda campaign or two, to get people to agree with it. They're just, why
they're looking to see how far they can push us.
That's what I'm thinking.
And how far, and then if we don't do an outcry, they're like, okay, cool, we can take advantage of this. Okay, let's add another distraction in the world so that they're not paying attention. Oh, shoot, they're paying attention to this one, guys. Because they're saying right here, they're saying some mental health advocates. So these are the mental health professionals of our society.
Yeah.
Say that having the option of MAID would allow individuals experiencing suffering to die with dignity. So, guys, you don't even believe in your own services. That's what's telling me. You don't even believe in your own services that you can actually help these people. But then the other psychiatrists are saying that this is making the government, likening it to the government making suicide more accessible to vulnerable population instead of putting in the work to provide the support needed to improve their daily lives.
Yeah.
So if more people would just kill themselves, then they won't hear about all this complaining and all these people on the streets, because all the streets will be cleaned up. A bunch of people won't have all these issues and complaining, but they'll dump this money in these ridiculous areas, but they won't do anything to actually support these organizations.
We have a broken system that can't meet the needs of our citizens, and so we'll just offer them just death, because you're going to wait too long, you're going to suffer too long with our the things that we're using in our system. You might as well just end it now, because you'll suffer too long before we can actually help you. Period. So Cliff says solely on mental illness. Cool. Trudeau and his band of losers that thought it was a good idea should be first in line.
Yeah.
The whole MAID system needs to be torn down and rebuilt properly, capital letters. Miles says the Liberal government are anticipating an election this year, so latest actions are predictable. Correct. Yeah, they don't want to be too forceful and ruin their chances of being reelected. That's an issue we're going to always keep our fingers on the pulse, no pun intended, or pun intended, I'm not sure on that. I want to get to the UFO thing, but first, this is interesting. Greater Sudbury Mayor Paul Lefebvre wants to turn back the clock to 2016 when it comes to his salary as mayor. He wants to take a $36,000 pay cut.
Wow. That's a bit honorable. What's going on here?
So instead of making almost $250,000 a year, he'd make a little over $200,000.
He better. Wow. He makes that much money being mayor?
Yeah.
That's how much money you make?
Yeah. Right now, it's more than any mayor in Ontario, more than Toronto's mayor.
Oh, surprise, surprise, Aaron.
Yeah.
What's up with our city? I heard our city's an Illuminati city.
Well,
and there's like a town. There's a square that's called Rochester Square in Sudbury.
Did you say
Did you know that?
Rockefeller
Sorry.
Square?
Rothschild.
Oh, Rothschild. There you go. Either one. They're kind of hand in
They're
hand.
the
But
same.
anyways, yeah.
Why
So
would we
it's
have a
interesting.
square? I'm going to find out. But why would we have a square like that? But anyway, that's just me wearing my tin hat.
And so Erica does chime in on the MAID thing, saying she's all for MAID, but for the proper reasons, suffering terminal people. Correct. And that's
So the thing
what I hear
too-
from most people. Yeah.
We never hear the bad stories, like they're pushing the LGBTQ, like trans, but you don't hear the bad stories. Like we need to hear both stories.
Yeah.
So this, like you're saying, people are taking advantage of these services. I've never heard of this story where, someone regretted it or it was like we need to hear both stories. And it seems like we're only hearing the one-sided story.
Yeah. We need to hear two sides.
Even when it comes to abortions, you never hear the stories about women saying that they regret it and that the anger, because if I'm going to make an actual decision, I want to hear both sides of the spectrum. And I want to hear testimonies of both sides of where, Nick, it really helped me, or, hey, I did it, but then think about this.
No, it's true. It was the same thing. Like they did a story this morning on the ride on CBC. They're like, we noticed that there's very few people wearing masks these days. And so we just thought we'd get out and interview them and see, why they're still wearing their masks. Okay, so they interview, I feel safe. I feel safe. I feel safe. And I want to keep others safe. Okay, if you still wear your mask and why don't you call our talkback line and let us know why you still wear a mask? They never interviewed one person or told the other side of why someone wouldn't wear a mask, and maybe, the fact that even Anthony Fauci came out at the beginning of the pandemic and said masks actually don't do anything for stopping the spread of the virus. So again, right? So it's like another side. They're only hearing one side. And so they want to just keep it alive that, yes, people are still wearing their masks. We support you. That's good. If you want to continue to do that, you're feeling kind of lonely out in the grocery store. You're one of the only people. And that's good. We support you. Yeah, it's good that you want to keep people safe. But then not one thing of a doctor saying, actually, it doesn't do anything anyways.
Because the science is clear. It has come out. There's tons of information that is proving that it did absolutely nothing. Correct. So we're not following the science anymore.
No. Science,
So Rachel Hollis, Rachel Hollis?
Yep.
Well, her ex-husband died, 47 years old, suddenly of a heart attack.
Okay. That's normal, isn't it?
It's becoming very normal.
Normal today. It's always been around. Sudden death syndrome. Always been around. All kinds of young people.
47 years old.
Including athletes just dropping on the field and stuff. It's normal. We see it. We've seen it our whole lives. It's nothing new.
My assistant, I need to talk to a nurse in the hospital. My assistant, her friend's mom on Friday had a heart attack. She's from this area, had a heart attack. She's in a coma. She's 51 years old.
Yep. That's common.
That's normal.
It's always happened for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Moving on.
Cliff also says pay cuts should also apply to city councilors and staff of the city. Nothing but tax dollars flying out the door. Oh, there's Natalie. Welcome back, Natalie. The motion would be for the mayor's salary scaled back to $143,000, not $200,000, as I had said, like it was prior to the increase in 2016. It was part of his campaign promise, so he's making good on it. And I might be including some of the perks in that $200,000 too, like you get gas allowance, and I think when they talked about the mayor's salary before, I think they put in with all of the perks you get, it was up to about $250,000 currently. So he's going to scale that back. So maybe with all the perks, it would add up to a little over $200,000. I could be wrong on that. You could correct me if I'm wrong, Natalie. Monique says 100% agree. Okay, probably with our last conversation we were talking about. Now, the mysterious UFO that was downed over Lake Huron near Manitoulin Island. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, did you hear like within 24 hours there were supposedly 3 UFOs being shot around the world? Like, come on.
Now, you know what they mean by it's not UFOs as, alien crafts. It's unidentified flying object.
Right.
So it's I know it's not like ETs coming and we're shooting them down. But yeah, it sounds like that. Let's see. I just thought I'd get this story here, but the Chinese are getting really upset about this. In an editorial printed on yesterday morning, Chinese state media outlet Global Times mocked the U.S. and Canada. Their decision to shoot down an aerial object flying over the Yukon, and specifically over the weekend. The Daily Tabloid, which is under the direct control of the Chinese Communist Party, said that both countries were making a fool of themselves and putting on a spectacle. They're quoted as saying, the U.S. Air Force shot down an unidentified flying object over Canada on Saturday local time, but officials from both Canada and the U.S. so far have offered neither further clarification on the capabilities, purpose, or origin of the object, which is true, nor one on the need or urgency to shoot it down, wrote the Global Times. Well, I'd have to disagree with that one. If there's something flying over your airspace and you didn't put it there, it definitely has no need to be there, no right to be there. The F-22, an advanced U.S. military fighter that has undertaken such a heavy task to attack the object, has also been dubbed the balloon killer on the internet. Besides, the U.S. and Canada also made a fool of themselves. The North American Aerospace Defense Command detected another radar anomaly on Saturday night in an attempt to cast shade on the incident, which has since been classified as a national security threat. Chinese state media suggested that it was an oil field drone or a weather balloon. This makes people wonder if it was the U.S. military that messed things up, the editorial claimed. So they're really kind of knocking the whole decision that we had to shoot these objects down. But one would have to ask themselves, they were going to allow that balloon to just go all the way across the U.S. Biden was saying, well, it's fine, like, what are you talking about? What, it's a balloon. It happens, 3 of them went over the U.S. during Donald Trump's reign. So it's nothing new. They're like, okay, how did you know that? Well, Donald Trump didn't even know about it. Okay, well, how did you know about it just now then?
Right.
So it's they stepped back on that statement then, and they since then kind of toned it down. They were blaming that on Trump too. It's so amazing.
I know
the U.S. media. Just to look at everyone.
Just look up.
Yeah, just look up. It's there. And yeah, happy Valentine's Day. And then,
oh, thank you, Adam.
There you go.
Did you hear about the Ohio train crash?
No.
Oh, wow. Like, Google it. It's like miles away. There's animals that are dying. There's vehicles that it's like the chemicals. It was like a chemical train that crashed. And just to let you know, there's a movie of this exact same thing that happened not that long ago, of course. Oh. And now this is happening. But check Ohio train crash. It's pretty big. It's just... And then the government's like, it's fine. It's fine. It's not going in our water. And it's really close to the Great Lakes where the spill happened.
For sure. Okay, let's look that up. Now, Miles, watching CNN, right, says they were explained these objects were danger to flight paths and commercial or private air traffic. No, they said that afterwards. Just a citizen was able to see it with their own eyes. They had nothing to do with that. The citizen reported it, and they wouldn't have said anything if it wasn't for citizens exposing the fact that this balloon was going over them. And then later they said, well, we had to shoot it down because it was interfering with flight paths. Well, they allowed it to interfere with flight paths all across the United States until it went out into the ocean and then shot it down. So, yeah, that's what they were saying.
I can get a ticket or get like a fine to just having a drone in the air too high up.
Yeah.
So the fact that they didn't even realize there was something in the air is a little concerning.
Yeah. Well, I guess Eric is saying just a little bit of hydraulic acid rain now. That's all.
Yep.
It is crazy, Monique. And yeah, sorry, Miles, about, the CNN comment there. It's just that I do watch the two sides, basically all the left media, which is everything other than Fox News, and then Fox News as well. And then I also watch alternative media. And so the government, when they come out with things, are not truthful because they can't be truthful because it threatens national security. So they actually can't tell you the truth. So you have to read between the lines. And so if you just kind of verbatim put whatever a government puts out as a press release, you have to then do your reporter watchdog thing and say why, when, how, who, what, where, and then you find out the details. So that's what the government was saying, that it threatened flight paths and things like that, but that is not exactly what happened. So he does not watch CNN, and that's why I apologized that. So CNN, basically CTV and CBC are the CNN of Canada because they say exactly the same things. Just from my experience, that's all I do on a daily basis other than my full-time job. So but just get a chance to look at the other news as well. And you'll see like Nick said at the beginning, the two sides. It's important to get two sides of what's going on in order to
even though you're not really getting the full other side anywhere.
You won't get the full story. You then have to dig and dig and dig if you want to get, but at least hearing another side that helps you, it's black, it's white. Okay. At least someone's saying it's white, it's black. Okay. Now, why do you say it's white? Why do you say it's black? So that's kind of a good habit to get into.
Yes. When the pandemic was happening and my mom was like, oh, did you see what's going on in India? They're just dropping dead in India. I'm like, Mom, there's like 1,000 TikToks of people in India, and be like, I'm in India. Nobody's dying here. And she's like, oh, they're making that up. I'm like, Mom, these are real people with real accounts. Like, I'm going to believe these people before I'm going to believe this news media that's just creating so much fear. So it's interesting that people are like, oh, well, who's saying this? But guys, it's not just one story. It's constant people with their personal testimony that they saw this air balloon in the air.
And that's exactly what Pam's saying. She said it even before you mentioned it, that whenever she sees something on news, she goes right away to live streams of people in those areas to see if it is indeed true, right? And Erica says government-funded media, they say what they are supposed to say, and that is all, and that is correct. Sudbury News Talk is the only news I digest anymore. Well, that's probably not good either. CNN and mainstream media outlet are too biased and untrustworthy. All we do is try and talk about it. We're not saying that we are going out and getting the story. We're just saying question it and maybe trying to inspire people to look a little deeper. Probably that's all, but you got to do it on your own for sure. Same with Jennifer. And yes, for sure. Love lives. And with that, we give Jennifer the positive Valentine's Day theme last word. Love lives. It does. And thanks, Nick, for being on today and wearing your heart-covered shirt. Oh, your volume is off for some reason, Nick. I don't know why.
Just smile more today. It's contagious. Let's make some more love today because we all need it.
All right. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow, everyone. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU. Have a great Valentine's Day. Ciao.
Thank you. You too.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.